Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Game Builder Garage Games of the Week, and I just wanted to mention that it is the 10th anniversary of my YouTube channel, so I really appreciate all of the support over the years. But the first game here is really interesting, as it's actually designed around the Nintendo Switch 2's mouse controls. Now granted, they didn't add a mouse control node on. This is making use of the touch controls, which I didn't even know before you could actually use the mouse for touch controls, which is honestly really cool. But it's designed around the mouse controls, since you have to press R to move. So ideally, you'd be playing this in mouse mode. And then also press ZR to jump. So it's kind of like designed around this configuration. But I'm surprised nobody thought of this before. I mean, the Switch 2 still is pretty new, but yeah, I mean, like, I guess someone had to discover that you could use touch controls with the mouse. So, yeah, definitely pretty cool. It is very simple since it's a tech demo, but there's a lot of possibilities for this. Like, I just, like, recently found out with, like, actually playing this game that you could use the mouse for touch controls. Okay, you could tilt R to left and right to change the camera angle. Okay. Oh, that's how you... Okay. Okay, that's pretty cool. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of possibilities for what they could do with this. But let's move on to the next game. So this next game here is actually based on Donkey Kong Bonanza, but I'll just let the terrain load here. The world loaded up here, and just like Donkey Kong Bonanza, you could dig through the terrain. And mostly similar controls as well. You collect turnips instead of bananas. But the terrain is kind of built up into like chunks here, kind of simulating the voxel technology used in the game. But this is really cool how this was implemented here. I like how it does the slow-mo effect when you collect a turnip. Kind of like how when you collect the Banandium gem. It is fairly simple, but I would say it is a pretty fun little concept here. Because you can dig down, I think upward as well. Yep. Can't climb though, but I understand if there were like limitations. But this is pretty fun. I like how the textures also kind of like are based on Bonanza a little bit. I forgot which layer had this. Oh, I think it was either the lagoon layer or hilltop layer had like terrain like this. But this is really fun. It's a pretty cool concept. I'm surprised this was able to work in Game Builder Garage. But let's move on to the next game. So the next game here is a first-person stealth action game where you play as this ninja character, and this is really impressive. It was made by RPGPLUS, who's made several really impressive Game Builder Garage games in the past. But it also has motion controls as well, which is pretty cool. Like, you can kind of, like, pick up and grab things. And yeah, that is pretty cool. It also apparently runs better on the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. So, I can't really test for sure, but I think that kind of makes sense. Since this is, like, it does seem like there's a lot going on here in terms of, like, models. And I like how, like, your inventory, you can just kind of, like, move it around as well. There's, like, a few different attacks you can do here. The screen got a little dark there. I think that's because I took damage. But this is pretty fun. I would say the combat's pretty well designed, too. For motion control combat in Game Builder Garage. But I think this is just a demo, too. So I think there might be, like, a full version of it at some point. Oh yeah, I can get in there. The key. Okay, that was a little tricky there, but this is pretty fun. But let's move on to the final game. Yep, it's a Paper Mario game, which is absolutely incredible since it's very fitting for the 10th anniversary of my channel, so I had to cover it. But basically, this is the pit of 50 trials, and it's kind of based on both Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario, like general aesthetics of Thousand Year Door, like with kind of like the dark, gloomy dungeon atmosphere here, as well as the camera angle, but it kind of has the gameplay of Super Paper Mario being action-based. So this is really cool. But you can jump and use your hammer, just as you do in any Paper Mario game. And I also like the enemy variety here too. Like you have like regular Goombas as well as Gloombas. But I think it's also kind of designed like how like the other Pit of 100 trials are, like the originals, where it's like different enemies are designated to each of the 10 floors, and they progressively get harder as you go deeper. Your HP does reset each floor, so it is kind of like an endurance test. But it's really fun. It's really cool to see like another Paper Mario themed game in Game Builder Garage, like especially one that holds up to its source material so well. Because this is basically like an action-based Paper Mario game in Game Builder Garage. It's pretty cool. Definitely a lot longer than a lot of other Paper Mario things in Game Builder Garage that I've seen. Oh, and there's some chain chomps too. Okay, I think you have to use your hammers for those. Yeah, it does kind of like, the enemies do get like progressively harder as you go deeper. Get that chain chomp. But this is really fun, and I definitely recommend checking this out. I like how the chain chomp rolls around like that. That's pretty funny. Kind of reminds me of the chain chomps in Yoshi's Island a little bit. We have more blue sniffets here. They're kind of like the harder variant of sniffets. I think the blue sniffets are also in Super Mario RPG as well. Oh, I'm running low on health here. There's some more Gloombas. But anyways, this is really cool, and I definitely recommend checking this out. But thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!